Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another What Are You Playing? December episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's What Are You Playing with me tonight?
We got Vincent Goodwin of, I was about to say my department from my work calls, but no. I'm Vincent Goodwin of Some of My Friends Read Comic Podcast and That Was a Game video show.
And I'm Kendall Hallman of the KendallCast.Ninja Podcast Network. Yeah.
That all sounds about right.
Lots of stuff.
It's stuff that I've been on, too. Well, I used to be on your Pokemon episode you used to do.
Yep.
But that was a while ago.
Yep. Been thinking about doing some more episodes of that, but I don't know. It's too many podcasts. That's the problem with being a podcaster is like every day I come up with an idea for a new podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I can turn it into like a one-off thing that I can do or an occasional thing. But like, there's just too many ideas. Like yesterday I thought of an idea for a podcast called 05678 in which we talk about pop culture and news items from 2005 through 2008. And there's no way I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
No.
But,
I don't foresee you doing
but
that
still, original character, do not steal.
I have a project where I'm like, I'm going to do a video series or some type of podcast series covering every issue of Nintendo Power, but only the ones I started with. So the ones like in 93. And it was originally going to be like 25 years later, but then I missed the mark. So I'm like, maybe I could do it 30 years later in 2023. We're close enough now. It's not going to happen.
I've done that with. We were going to do on the 15-year anniversary of House of M. I was going to do a big deep dive into House of M, and then we missed that. So now we're doing a deep dive into Civil War on the 15-year anniversary.
Nice.
Fortunately, there's one of those big crossover events every year. So
yeah,
as long as we can finish Civil War, that's the other problem. Is we have
are you just doing the core? We covered the core Civil War for my podcast.
Every single crossover,
Frontline and everything. Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like 90 some issues. Yeah,
what, 50 of them are garbage.
I don't know. I've been really pleasantly surprised. We do nine issues. It's on the Polis podcast. We do 9 issues an episode, and looks like we've done 6 so far this year. So I guess it's been like every other month. I think I actually have a 7th one recorded that I haven't. So that's 36 issues. Jeez, we're like nowhere near. No, that's not how math works. 63 issues.
What I love about Civil War is the idea that like every single writer interpreted the Superhero Registration Act differently.
Mm-hmm.
There's no consistency, it feels like. Some of it's like, if you have a power, you have to become a cop. And other people are like, if you want to help people, then you have to become a cop and register.
Right.
And it seems like radically. And then there's bullshit that's like buried, like The Eternals by Neil Gaiman is also like a Civil War crossover that doesn't mention it at all.
Right.
Except Tony Stark tries to register them all.
So I will say that I like I've definitely run into the like it's not clear exactly what the law is, but I kind of think that's how the real world works too, right?
You're right.
Like the way that laws are enforced is arbitrary depending on yourself and everything. I think the way that the thing that makes the most sense is the way that they enforce it for Wonder Man, where you get registered if you have you need to register if you have superpowers or if you're going to be a vigilante, and then you don't have to do the thing, but once you're registered, they know all your skeletons in your closet.
Mm-hmm.
So like they use the fact that he has like tax evasion to recruit him. And I think that makes the most sense, where they like kind of, they twist your arm. And I mean, maybe if you were like also I think Cloud9, who gets introduced in the Initiative, she definitely doesn't want to be a superhero, but she got caught, flying her cloud in airspace, and she would have gone to jail otherwise,
Okay.
just because she's doing a thing that you're not allowed to do. And so I think sometimes working with, but no, I agree with you. That's me. That's my like Marvel no prize answer.
Yeah. Because you'd just be like, oh, well, I can run a marathon. Does that count? No, it doesn't. Like, what's semi-defining line between like power and not?
Right. And I do think that that's where, and then like the X-Men are like, well, well, we're not gonna register, but we're not gonna fight. And they're like, well, you guys are mutants. You guys have enough problems. We'll leave you alone.
We'll write you out of this one.
Yeah. We'll sort of. Well, they have their own. They have their own tie-in series and their own, which is decent enough. But like, they're like there's enough baggage when it comes to persecuting mutants that we're not gonna go out of our way to force them to register if they don't want to. Like it's it's like I said, it's like the real world to an extent. It's like the real world, the way that laws are enforced differently in different situations. Yeah, it's also interesting. Like they should have. I'm just saying they should have written out the Superhuman Registration Act. Published it. Published it online. In legalese. That's probably would have happened if it came out now.
Yeah.
Did they do that with the Sokovia Accord?
I don't. That'd be funny. Yeah, I would just like tweet it like by a fake like UN or Shield account. Yeah, that'd be hilarious. I just remember like Tony Hawk. No, Tony Stark's a dick. Tony Hawk rules. He's the good Tony. But yeah, that's Civil War is a book, and I know we covered the core book, but I'd be interested to read like Frontlines again or like Young Avengers Runaways or something like that. Frontline's really good. Young Avengers, Young Avengers Runaways. The Runaways didn't know that the Superhuman Registration Act came out because they're a bunch of kids. They don't watch the news. so they just like show up to stop a scroll attacking a certain like a county fair or something like that, and then they get in trouble. They're like, what? They're like, don't you watch the news? They're like, no, we watch Friends reruns.
Okay, that's good.
I'm on IGN reading about video games. What do you want?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like it's I really, and then the other thing about Civil War is in some ways it is the beginning of the MCU, in that like it elevates Iron Man and Captain America and the Avengers kind of above the X-Men, and it's one of the earliest things to do that. But also it's like very not the MCU because Tony Stark doesn't look like Robert Downey Jr. and
Looks like Tom Cruise.
And Tony Stark is the villain.
Yeah.
So like when I saw the first Iron Man movie, I was like, am I allowed to like Iron Man again? And then that same week, Matt Fraction's Invincible Iron Man came out, and it's like, oh yeah, we are allowed to like Iron Man again.
Uh-huh. That's interesting. You're right, because like the synergy of that, they had to have known. I don't know when Iron Man 1 was in development. It came out in 2008. I have to imagine they were working on it for 4 or 5 years to try to get off the ground. But making the major villain of the Marvel Comics Iron Man during that for like a 2-year span, right before that movie came out, that's a really weird timing. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't think they expected a whole lot.
Yeah, so if you want to hear more about that, the Pull List on the Pull List podcast on Kendall Cast or on the podcatcher of your choice, the Kendall Cast Pull List podcast. We dive deep, 6 parts. So that's like 9 hours of content that we've talked about the first 2/3 of Civil War.
That's too much Civil War. At one point I had insanity where I was downloading comics and I'm like, okay, I'm going to read the entire series of comics. Like I was going to read the whole Civil War. It never happened. I just couldn't do it anymore.
Well, the good thing about Civil War is you read the main, it does a really good job of you read the main book. And really, you don't even read the main book. You read like the first issue of the main book. Mm-hmm. And then you can read like whatever, as many or as few tie-ins as you want.
Right. It's weird though, because like they actually had to like stop publishing the entire Marvel Comics line if the core book got behind. Because like every single Marvel book like for September would be fallout from Civil War 3. And then if Civil War 4 got delayed, then all the October issues had to wait for Civil War 4 to come out. It was very weird. But
yeah, that's not good.
But it was super interesting because it'd be like Peter Parker, unmasked himself at the end of Civil War 2. And then every single Marvel issue then like deals with like, holy shit, Peter Parker's Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So, which is cool.
Yeah, it was very cool at the time. Yeah, definitely. It was definitely
hard to read now, but definitely like living it was very fun. And being on the internet, not paying attention to the real news, just on Newsarama.
I would say, yeah, like I said, you read the main book and read the tie-ins that you're interested in. And if you are interested in doing the deep dive, I mean, you don't have to, none of these events you have to read every single issue.
I tried with Secret Wars when that first came out, the new one, and I learned real fast. Don't do that.
Yeah, just cherry pick what sounds interesting to you.
And that main book was Hickman, so I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell you what happened in Secret Wars, but I loved 1872, and I loved Thor's, and I loved Old Man Logan, and I loved actually the Civil War. The Secret Wars Civil War was really good. It was basically what if, because all the Secret Wars tie-ins were basically miniseries of what ifs.
Yes.
So the Civil War one was what if they kept fighting, and because basically at the end of Civil War, Captain America's like, we're at this point we're causing more trouble than it's worth, or we're just fighting each other and causing all this property damage. We're not it's at the expense of us helping people, which is why we're here, and so if he didn't do that and they kept fighting, then apparently the United States would become a post-apocalyptic landscape that's like half controlled by Iron Man and half controlled by Captain America, and it's Charles Soule wrote it, and it's like,
I do love Charles Soule. He does write really good comics, so I give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
I go back and forth on Charles Soule. Sometimes I really like his stuff. Sometimes I think that he is not sometimes, but sometimes I really like his stuff. Other times he's definitely one of the people that works for Marvel, that Marvel is like, okay, so big picture editorial, we want to elevate the Inhumans, and we want this, and this to happen. Can you make a book that does that? And he does that, and it'll be very specific house style. Although his Star Wars work, has gotten better and better, because he started out writing, that Obi-Wan Anakin miniseries, which was fine, but very much like, this is some of the first prequel content that has come out since Disney obtained the license. Somebody's got to do it. And Charles Soule was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I'll write 11 other books and still practice law, still run a law firm.
Yeah, because he wrote Daredevil also. I remember that being like a real lawyer's writing Daredevil.
Yeah.
His Swamp Thing, though, did you read that? I
didn't read his Swamp Thing. No, that was
really
good.
Pretty
early stuff. Yeah, I read his She-Hulk, which
also lawyer.
Which he wrote She-Hulk like literally while he was still practicing law, and that was mostly good. I think Dan Slott's She-Hulk's a little better, but still super iconic. And there's going to be a She-Hulk TV series coming up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I need to read the She-Hulk. I'm sorry, we just turned into a comic book podcast, Mike.
That's okay.
The She-Hulk. I've been trying to get the guys on my podcast. Some of my friends read comics, to read I think there's a Time Crimes one by She-Hulk, or by Dan Slott with She-Hulk. That art sounds really good. It's got Owen Wilson's character from Loki in it. That I want to read.
Right. Yeah, she has to defend her existence or something.
There's some guy, I don't remember what it's something about, like, a guy knows he's going to be murdered by somebody in the future, so then he murders him. It's like a precog thing. Yeah,
I think the Dan Slott run is only like less than 30 issues. It's really good. I think it's one of the things that one of a handful of things that took him from being the Looney Tunes licensed guy to being Spider-Man the guy. Mastermind of Spider-Man with Brand New Day. Yeah, that and his Great Lakes Avengers run, I also like.
I read GLX Miss every year. So good.
Oh man. So what you been playing, guys?
Yeah.
I'll go first. I only played 2 games that weren't for the podcast this month, which is not unusual for me. I played 2 beat 'em ups, actually. Final Fight 3 on the SNES. I had a buddy of mine came up to visit for the weekend, because we had what we do every year. We do a Friendsgiving, which is kind of like Thanksgiving, but you invite all your friends to the family and you all bring a dish, and we did that. So he came, and I got to replay most of Final Fight 3. That game still holds up super well, especially when you put on cheats where you have infinite life and you just don't care and you just beat everything up. It's fun as hell.
And
that's a really good game.
That one is 2-player, right? Because Final Fight 1 is not. Okay.
Well, 1's the only one on Super Nintendo that isn't. 3 has 2 players. 3 also has like fighting moves you can put in inputs to do like special attack.
Oh, like Street Fighter type fighting moves or something. Okay. That's cool.
It's actually still holds up. We didn't get a chance to finish it, but it's still a very good game, and I was surprised how much I enjoy it. And I also, the only other game I play that I want to mention is I played Knights of the Round finally I have the Capcom Beat 'em Up collection, which is in there, and me and him had played it back when we were kids, but we never really got anywhere because that game is hard as hell. And I finally beat that game, and we, had infinite lives, and it was really damn good. So it's still fun. It's a hard ass game, but it's fun, especially when you're cheating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I missed both of these when they came out.
I really like beat 'em ups, but it is a little bit of a, I don't know. It's a hard balance to strike between, like, they're all too hard. But then I found, like, if you do, like, when I go to the barcade and play the X-Men arcade and I just beat everyone by hitting them with my face, if you just keep letting them punch you, eventually their fists will start to hurt. And it takes a little bit away from the experience having unlimited lives, but also, like, or maybe it just reveals kind of the shallowness of those games. But I don't want to admit that. Yeah. I don't want to admit that because I really like the concept of walking sideways and punching things. But it's just I wish that some of those games had they were a little bit better balanced because I don't know, when I played through the Simpsons arcade or when I played through the X-Men arcade and I just, I get like 2 punches in and then I die, and then I get 2 punches in and then I die. And eventually there's enough punches. It's kind of a bummer. And then also, like, I play.
You still there?
I lost him too.
So Vince, what have you been playing?
Well, I was going to comment more on what Kendall was saying about the beat 'em ups.
Sure, go for it.
Yeah. So, like, I have a hard time, and this is going to ruin my street cred. I have a hard time with the beat 'em ups that don't have licenses related to them. So, like, I never got into Final Fight or Streets of Rage just because they were like, these are dudes. Like, I don't really care. So I was always like into X-Men or Simpsons. But to me, like how Kendall's saying, though, like, they are just really dumb beat 'em ups, but they're kind of the perfect retro experience where I play them for 20 minutes and I'm like, I got what I needed out of this, and then I'm done. Like, I don't need to play X-Men like as my only game for 6 months and have it every sleepover. It's like I played it for 20 minutes and I'm done. I think that once the genre started getting like leveling up and like little numbers above the head like Diablo is where it kind of like went, and then Castle Crashers and Scott Pilgrim kind of added leveling up, and I think that worked really well. But so were you a Final Fight or a Streets of Rage guy, Mike?
I actually have never played. I've only ever played Streets of Rage 1. I never played 2 or 3.
Yeah, I played them I got them on the 3DS, but I played them by myself, and it's like, well, what is this experience? It's just punching.
I don't.
But I'm sure people love it
much, unless I am in a situation where I have somebody that a friend is around to play them with. Otherwise, I don't play them. But I'm a Final Fight guy. Final Fight 2 is what I really grew up on. That was a game that we used to rent a lot, and I played a bunch with my dad back when I was younger. So that would be the game that always sticks with me.
Okay. All right. Well, what have I been playing? I've got a lot going on. We'll stay on the beat 'em up train. I've been playing. Sure. I just beat. It's not a beat 'em up, but it's close enough. I beat Yakuza Like a Dragon, which is Yakuza 7. I beat that finally after playing it for a year on my Xbox Series X. I had it actually purchased, and now it's on Game Pass, so you can get it that way. But it's. I don't know. Have you ever played a Yakuza game, Mike?
No, I own multiple of them.
Okay.
And they're on my list to play them, but I've heard about them. Like, I know 7 is 7 like the RPG one.
7 is an RPG one. They changed so basically the way the combat styling of Yakuza 0 through 6, and I think there's like a zombie 1 or 2 also. They're traditionally beat 'em ups, like you run, and then like in an RPG you see some guys on the map, you run up to them and it kind of cuts to like a fighting sequence, and then you beat them up with like different moves, you acquire different special moves, and then you level up, you have little numbers appear above your head. It's pretty cool, but they changed it for Yakuza 7 and changed it into like a 4-member party RPG. The main character is very much into Dragon Quest. He's even got a bad haircut that makes him look like a kind of like a Dragon Quest Toriyama, like spiky haired guy. And he always like envisions his like villains as like Dragon Quest type villains. And it has a little like, level up music that sounds like Dragon Quest. But what's really cool about it is like if you're not familiar with the story, it's like usually like a very serious crime story. And this one's really no different. Yakuza Like a Dragon, it has a new protagonist for the series, but it's about a guy who like takes a fall for a crime he didn't commit. to protect his mob family, and specifically his mob boss that he really loves, played by George Takei. And it's fucking good though. Like I usually don't like story-based games, and these are like 30 to 40 minute scenes. And I'm like, usually when I try to play Yakuza 0, like about a couple of years ago, I'm like, let me play this fucking game.
Yeah, because
Yakuza 7, I think I went in knowing this, so I just like set up a pile of laundry, or we set up breakfast, and then just like drink my coffee leisurely and watch these sequences. And I love crime stories. I love like Ed Brubaker's criminal comics. So like this is like up my alley. And so when the guy gets out of prison, like his mob family has been absorbed by a rival mob family, and George Takei's like not talking to him anymore, and it's kind of fucked up. And then so it's like this really interesting story. They go into like all these political issues, like about like Chinese immigrants and Korean immigrants in Japan, how they're not part of the system. And so then they don't get public schooling, so then they can't get jobs and they can't get social benefits. So it's about like immigration, and it's about like homelessness, and it's very sex positive about sex workers. I'm an ex-con. I try to run for political office, and my son, who's like 7, got really mad that everybody kept bringing up my criminal record, even though I did my time. It was like it's like crazy. And then it's mixed with like the stupidest things. Like sometimes you just like fight an excavator and a bulldozer will be villains, or you'll fight like a rich person's tiger. And then there's my favorite one is there's an art house movie theater that you have a friend who runs an art house theater, but all his films like suck and they're super boring. But in order to make him feel good, you have to stay awake during the movie. So then there's like there's like a mini game where like all these things are like trying to make you fall asleep, and you got to like fight them off. They're called like the Rams. And it's stupid. And then like if you stay awake during the whole movie, then your friend feels better about his movie theater, even though it's got no attendance. It's really dumb and it's really cute. And then there's stuff like, and I'll bring this up because I'm going to bring out my next game too, is there's one section where there's this thing called, it's a persimmon tree, which I guess is a persimmon's like a fruit. I'm not that cultured. But there's this like poor girl, she's sick. And she's in her building, and the only thing that makes her happy is looking at this one little persimmon on her tree. But then, like, this sumo guy will be like, I lost my partner, so then I'm going to wrestle this tree to practice. So, but like, oh, the persimmon's going to fall off. So then I have to go on this side quest to go, like, help this dude, this sumo wrestler, find a partner so then he can, protect this tree. And then this idiot, like, incel gets a little, like, BB gun and tries to keep shooting and practice persimmon tree. So then I have to go beat this kid up and break all his guns. So it's a really fun game. It took me about 60 hours. I don't beat games usually. I loved it. The story was great. It was like, it was a fun RPG. It was just like everything about it, like just worked. And so then I immediately went into Lost Judgment. And the Yakuza series is made by Ryu Gigatan. I don't think I pronounced that right at all. But it's the studio that alternates between Yakuza games and Lost Judgment or Judgment. And there's 2 different protagonists. But the cool thing is they take place in the same city. Partially due to developer laziness, like we made this map. Like
that doesn't bother me though. I like when different game series connect.
It's really cool because like the mob families that were talked about in Yakuza, like the Omi Alliance, it's pushed the story forward. So like I'm getting through the story. I'm playing a different protagonist. I'm a detective. It's got a different battle style, a lot like the beat 'em up style of the original Yakuza games. And I'm going through and I'm in this map, and I love the developer laziness. Like we built this, we're not gonna do this. But also, like, I went to go check out that persimmon tree, and I was actually sad that, like, in the year it's been since the last game, like, that's gone. And I went to, like, my bar, and, like, nobody recognized me because I'm a different character. But it's just, like, fun to see, like,
am I back?
Everything's different.
Yep, you're back, Kendall.
Okay. Yeah, keep going.
But it's just, like, and this game it's similarly heavy. Like, I'm in a high school, and I'm a detective investigating bullying. Because there's a risk of like teen suicide and slut shaming and writing like you're a slut on this little girl. And I'm like, oh, well, this isn't as fun to watch around my son. So I'm not playing that one around my son. So it's a little more slow going. But I do think it's supposed to get fun again. Like I join a BattleBots club at the school later is supposedly what I'm going to be doing. So Lost Judgment's cool. Yakuza 7, big recommend. I spent a year doing it and then immediately rolled into the next game. And then if you have Game Pass, Yakuza 0 through 7 are all available on Game Pass. So check that out.
Kendall, you were talking about X-Men and we lost you.
I was talking about, I'm sure whatever I said, I said my piece. And yeah, I don't think I had anything meaningful more to add.
Any other games you've been playing, Kendall?
Yeah. So I've been playing Pokemon for the thing.
Episode tonight.
We'll talk about in another episode. I've been playing the Star Wars CCG and won my regional.
Ooh, that was pretty cool.
Not my regional, somebody else's regional. I lost my regional, but I am the Nal Hutta champion. If I didn't mention this on a previous episode, I play the Star Wars customizable card game, which has been out of print for about 20 years. But there's
I was about to ask, like the one from like 1996, like that one.
Yes, that one. And there's a group called the Players Committee on the internet that has kept the game alive. They have an agreement with Lucasfilm to as long as they jump through a bunch of hoops, they can design what you call virtual cards to kind of keep the metagame shifting and introduce concepts from new Star Wars stuff. We've got a Kylo Ren and a Rey and all that stuff.
Oh, weird.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. We can't use movie pictures, so we get cosplayers. Or my favorite thing is, and they don't do this very much anymore, but sometimes there will be a picture because we can use images from existing cards. So there will be a picture that looks like another character, and we can virtualize it and use that picture. Like there's one that's got a particular shot of Boba Fett that kind of looks like Jango Fett. So they used that for Jango Fett. Or there's like there's like a character that looks kind of vaguely, if you squint, like Bail Organa. And so they gave him a card using that image. It's pretty awesome. And you can play for free at play.starwarsccg.org. It's lots of fun. But I drove out to Indianapolis last weekend, which is about a 3-hour drive. We had 6 players and played 4 rounds. I went 3-1, and 2 other people also went 3-1. So it was a 3-way tie out of 6 players, but they decided that I won. So I'm pretty happy about that.
And yeah, you're actually known in this because at my job where I used to work, I had a guy come in, he printed Star Wars cards, and I'm like, hey, I know this podcast. He's like, you know Kendall? I'm like, yeah, I know Kendall. And it was pretty funny. That happened once with some guy.
Yeah, it's a small world. And I have had the opportunity to interview the lead designer from the 90s a handful of times. It's also on the Kendallcast feed. So it's pretty cool stuff. Then the other game that I've been playing, and I really hope that because I've been playing it very slowly, like an hour every 2 weeks for like the last several months. So I really hope I didn't bring it up on the last episode, but I've been playing Doom 2016, which is just a little bit too hard, but otherwise really good. And yes, I know I could put it on easy, but I'm not secure enough in my masculinity to play games on easy.
You're not like me, who just
but
do whatever.
You play 50 games a year. If I
play more than that.
Yes, but you play more than 50 games a year. So you can justify that and still be secure in your confidence. I play like 3 games a year. So, if I can't even get to the end of a 12-hour game on regular difficulty, then I just, may as well turn in my man card.
That card was ripped up a long time ago for me.
I know that's toxic masculinity, and I'm usually in most areas of my life I'm not toxically masculine, but that's it is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a video game, so if that's the thing that you decide to stick with, that there are a lot worse
video game on top of that. Yeah, you're only going to be toxically masculine to yourself. Like that, I guess, is fair.
And somewhere you're making Ninja proud. He doesn't have any idea who you are. All of a sudden, he felt proud that you're not cheating yourself. I will always make fun of that stupid quote.
Was he the one that made that quote?
I'm pretty sure he was the one that first made that quote. Where it's like, if you cheat in the game, you're cheating. You're cheating yourself. You didn't try. You didn't earn it. It's a video game. If you have fun, that's all that matters.
Yep, it's literally a toy.
Yes, I mean it does not matter for me. I always have to play on easy because, well, like you said, I do play like over at this currently this year. I think I have beaten I'm at 58 games so far this year. So, and I'm going to be over 60 by the time this year ends. But that's just I'm insane. So that's part of it. But yeah, I get it. Anything else you've been playing?
Trying to think. Not really.
You said you were the Pokemon guy and had like Pokemon podcasts. Have you played Shining Pearl or Brilliant Diamond at all?
I haven't yet. No, I'm hoping to get it for Christmas. I just haven't had a lot of time for video games. Oh, there's a game that I played. No, there is another game that I played. I got Cruisin' Blast for the Switch.
Yes, that was on my list too.
Oh, really? I
What
thought
is
I was
Cruising
the only
Blast?
one.
Cruising Blast. It's like in the Cruising USA genre or
Mhm.
franchise.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's pretty good. My only complaint is that the functionality is different depending on how many players you have.
Okay.
So like I was playing the two players, you can play like the circuits and play like a bunch of different races. And then I had people over and set it up on my projector, and it was like, oh, we're gonna play, this is gonna be awesome. And then we go to 4 players and there's like 4 races that you can play.
Ugh.
So
yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense because there's like certain like bullshit like things that happen on the stage that I think would be hard to like tune to 4 players.
I mean, maybe, but figure it out. Mario Kart figured it out.
It's so Mike. I'm sure you played like Cruising USA and stuff back in the day. Yeah, which I loved in the arcades, and then I got home and played it on the 64. I'm like, this is shit. And so like I didn't really ever touch a cruising game like World or Cruising Exotica or any of those other ones.
I just can't believe it came back.
Yeah, it's been an arcade game, and it actually is still made by Eugene Jarvis, who made like Defender and Robotron and Smash TV back in the day. And he's been plugging away, and it absolutely still feels like a Dave and Buster's racing game. If you've seen like those Fast and the Furious games or like Dirty Driving or any of those games, it's just like a tube racer. Like it's really hard to fuck up in Cruising Blast. Like you're just forward momentum, even if like you crash into a wall or like get flipped over, you're still like bumping weird ways. But it fully embraces its stupidity. Like there's dinosaurs running around, and like there's a London level where like the London Eye Ferris wheel just rolls across the screen. It hurts the frame rate, but it's stupid and it's fun. And you can press like the A button or B button to like do a wheelie, which gives you a speed boost. So you just like popping wheelies in your sports car like the whole race and like running over your opponents. It's super campy and it's a lot of fun. It's not skill based. It's again like I said with the beat 'em ups. It's like you play about 20, 30 minutes. Like, yep, I got it. I've had my fill today. It's not a game you're gonna play for like 5 hours like Forza or anything like that. But
I just remember. I only remember Cruising USA because it was co-op kind of like you could race together back on the 64. That's the only reason I remember it.
I remember it because it was one of the 2 games that said coming for the Nintendo Ultra 64. It was that and Killer Instinct had like that branding on the arcade machine.
Yeah, what happened with that?
They got rid of the word Ultra for some reason, and it really wasn't running on that hardware because the home port sucked. So
I know there is none. I mean, you have the expansion pack, but that's it.
Yeah. But yeah, Blast is a lot of fun. It's a fun campy racer, and it's been on pretty good discount. I would say like $30, $30 to $40, wherever you can find it.
I mean, that is a good discount, but not to me because I'm cheap as hell.
Yeah.
I just bought Avengers actually for $10 over Black Friday sale.
You got a chance to play it at all?
Of course not, but I bought it. It's sitting on top of my table on my stack right by my PS4. I'm like, I'm gonna play this one day, and you haven't even opened it yet.
I enjoyed Avengers, and my buddy says that the Hawkeye campaign is really good because it's got some DLC that I think is probably short bite-sized chunks. Like the Spider-Man one for PS4, PS5 is supposed to be a little underwhelming because they didn't record dialogue for him, but the Black Panther one and the Hawkeye ones are supposed to be pretty good. But on that tip, I played Guardians of the Galaxy, which is very, very similar to Avengers, and I've been playing that over the last week or so. It controls very similar to Avengers, and it's made by Square Enix's like other studio, because Avengers was made by the Tomb Raider studio, I think Crystal Dynamics, and then whoever made the third Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, yes. I think they made Guardians of the Galaxy. So story-wise, pretty good. Visually, it's pretty good. It's got that cool cosmic neon like look that all Marvel movies. They all look kind of like their characters, but also kind of not like the movie characters. But it's got good platforming the way the Tomb Raider ones are, like walking down corridors, and Star-Lord feels really good to control. He's got this kind of like double hover jump with his like rocket boots. You only control Star-Lord. You're not controlling any of the other characters in the group. But they end up being like basically like your powers. So like you'll be like, I want Rocket Raccoon to throw a grenade, and then I want Groot to like grab people and like, do an AoE effect, and then Drax will do a sword attack, and so you're holding like one of the shoulder buttons and then pushing that. So basically you're one player, and then your magic spells are your different members of the Guardians of the Galaxy. It's pretty fun. Your mileage may vary. I started to see behind the facade a bit of it, where at least through the first 3 chapters, it's all the combat is very much like you fall into a pit or a kill room, and then you fight enemies until they're all dead, and then you walk down another tube, you platform a bit. There's no like snipers behind cover that you have to like dodge or anything like you would find in a Tomb Raider game or Uncharted or any other action game like Jedi Fallen Order. It's the only combat is in these, at least in the first 3 chapters, is all like in kill rooms.
Okay,
but it's cool.
Guardian does look. I really want to play it.
I'm sure it'll follow the same trajectory. It'll be $10 next year for you, and then your mom will find it.
It's on my list. So I think that cover all the games that we want to mention before we go on to films that we've been seeing.
I've been playing. I'll cover it real quickly. I've been playing Pokemon Shining Pearl. It's just a really good shut off my brain game. It's one of those like easy RPGs. Yeah, you're just like I play it and watch TV at the same time. I have a hard time with like story based games, but this one's just like I walk, I catch things, and it's weird to go back to a Pokemon game. And I guess y'all are playing Emerald for the show at some point soon.
Tonight.
Yeah, tonight.
Tonight at the time of this recording.
It's weird to go back after the last 2 Pokemon games have been like the Pokemon are out in the field with like Let's Go and Sword and Shield, to go back to one with like random hidden in the grass, but they're there, and it's actually more comforting to me. I actually like it more than seeing them on the field. It's like, oh, what am I going to get next? As opposed to like, well, I already have a Skorupi. I don't need that. But it's pretty cool. And then I've been playing Great Ace Attorney Chronicles, which is it's my first Ace Attorney game. I don't know if y'all have ever played those games, the Phoenix Wrights.
Game.
I've never played one. They're, like a visual novel, basically. And this one's cool because you can literally turn off all inputs and just let the game play itself. So you're just watching basically a movie, which is interesting. Yeah, you don't even have to like figure out the clues and the discrepancies. But man, like in the real world of seeing like miscarriages of justice, it's a very infuriating game. It's like, I have discredited every single witness you put in front of me here because I'm on trial right now in this game. And I've discredited every witness, yet everybody still thinks like you're guilty. And I'm like, I've already proved that this person's a liar. Why would you still like have their deposition like make sense?
So it wants to have reality in it, I guess.
I know it's very infuriating in the real world. And so I keep going back to my Pokemon. So it's been slow going on the Great Ace Attorney. I haven't even gotten to the Sherlock Holmes analog, because this one takes place in like in the 1800s. Your Phoenix Wright's like ancestor of some sort, and then you team up with basically Sherlock Holmes, but public domain wise different. His name is Sherlock Sholmes, and you're going to team up with him. And apparently, I think it's supposed to be funny, like he's like wrong all the time, and he does the wrong analysis, and then you have to prove that you're smarter than him. Because at the beginning of the game, Watson's killed, and you're on trial for Watson's murder.
Huh.
So it's pretty campy. Again, dropping in price like a stone. If you've never played an Ace Attorney game, this is a good one. Otherwise, the Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy on Switch is also a good one.
It's also on Steam too.
Oh, it's on Steam? Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And I think it covers all my games.
I buy everything on Steam. Kendall, you've been watching any TV shows you want to mention?
So just got through the new season of Pen 15.
Oh, nice.
Okay, is that show any good?
Yes, it's excellent.
It looks. I've seen the trailers and I'm just like, this looks stupid as hell.
So it is probably the most well-observed show about being a middle schooler in exactly 2001 that I've ever seen.
Okay.
Like it's one of the only shows that deals with AOL Instant Messenger.
Oh my god.
Just various very specific type of homophobia that was around at the time.
First line of Fast and Furious starts with saying the F word.
Yeah.
That kind of
yeah. Well, without I didn't go that far, but just like I don't know. It's I'm trying to think. Like there's a scene in the most recent season where the kid in the family, like the scene is like kind of establishing that maybe that family is a little bit like not like a little bit struggling financially, and there's a kid there playing an old computer and he's playing Wolfenstein, and it's like that's exactly the thing that they would be playing at this exact time, because he'd be playing a video game, but Wolfenstein was the shareware version, so everybody had it and it was on an older computer, so it's a 10-year-old game, but people were still playing it in 2001 if you didn't have other options for video games, and
people still play it.
Just lots of I don't know, I'm glad that they ended it after, I think they've had 3 seasons or maybe two. It is just 2 seasons.
Yeah, just 2 seasons.
I think that the gimmick of the 2 main characters are played by adult, but they're 12-year-olds, and then everybody else is played by actors that are closer to the actual age it couldn't have lasted much longer than it did. Even this season, any of the recurring kid actors they're definitely 2 years older than they were in the last season. But yeah, it's just like a really well observed of that snapshot of time in a way that very few other things have done. And then it's also just really funny, hearing little kids tell these adults that they're ugly. But yeah, definitely. And I mean, it's a quick watch. You can watch it with your spouse because it's very much from a female perspective. So your wife will like it. But yeah, very, very entertaining. Yeah, and it's still, and I mean, yeah, it's silly. But yeah, very, very good stuff. And then the other thing that I've been watching is Joe Pera Talks With You, which is an Adult Swim show that I stumbled upon, where this very soft-spoken person talks to you about things that he likes, like about rocks and things. And it's like this weird mix of like a PBS nature documentary type thing with also like just this guy's life and, weird sitcom, small town antics. And it's like the most relaxing thing I've ever watched on television, but also hilarious. So big recommend there. And then Big Mouth came out, I think, since the last episode.
Yep.
Which
we just finished that last night. Yeah.
What's Big Mouth?
What's Big Mouth?
What's Big Mouth? Man, you're just watching like all sorts of middle school sex comedies.
It is a good companion piece to Pen 15.
God, this looks terrible.
It's a cartoon about puberty done by Nick Kroll and John Mulaney.
Yeah,
they've had like 35 seasons now.
Yeah,
so it's like I think 6 seasons.
It's 5 just ended.
5 seasons.
Yeah.
I would say this was not one of the stronger seasons, but if you haven't watched it, watch it. It's about basically people going through, kids going through puberty, and they have monsters that follow them around, telling them to masturbate. And
okay.
It's a crazy sex positive show. It also, I think, probably would have been helpful for me in middle school, but I also don't know if it would have been helpful for me in middle school. It's really good, and you're gonna see like a lot of animated genitalia on that show, and Kristen Wiig plays like a little middle schooler's vagina, and it's like there's a lot in it going on, but it's really good. It's got all like Nick Kroll's like character voices. It's funny. It seems very realistic and tackles things that like I wouldn't like. This season, Nick Kroll like went through puberty, and like he lost his puberty monster, and he has like a hate monster, so he turned like into a little incel that like hated a girl because she didn't like him, and then like doubled down on how she was a bitch and like terrible and stuff, which is like good life lessons because like
that's middle school.
Yeah, it is, and like he still like is portraying himself, and his self-image is that he's a nice guy, and like I'm nice, and I just asked her out, and like but she's terrible, like and like viewing her as objects and property, and like it's a good like lessons to be like you need to grow out of this bullshit, man.
Right.
It feels like it's spinning its wheels though because John Mulaney's character went through the same thing like the season before.
Yeah, and I think John Mulaney's character's arc on that was a little better. I think they did a really good job with him because I think us as all of us, we're all, I assume, based on everyone's voices, that we're all straight white males.
Yeah.
And cishet straight white males, yeah. And the way they handled John Mulaney's character, I think at least me personally, in the last 10 years, we've learned a lot of lessons about our own privilege and everything. And when you first are confronted with that, you can have like a pushback of like, well, no, this is just how it's always been, or no, this is how it should be, or to think that we as straight white cishet men that have all the advantages in the world are now being punished for that. And then that season did a really good job of sort of showing the logical extremes when he goes to this like men's rights activist group, and they turn out to be like white supremacists.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to rethink this. I thought it handled it really well. And the show, I agree. The show spins at wheels. It's got because they started out with the puberty monsters, which were great, and then they like introduce additional ones.
The Shame Wizard was. We watched the Shame Wizard season and 8th grade all in one day, and that was like a middle school bummer kind of.
Yeah,
day.
the Shame Wizard, the Depression Cat. I like the Depression Cat.
The Depression Cat's good.
But it's just like, but eventually it got to be like where it's every season they introduce a new thing, and now there's like 18 different kinds of monsters with every single negative emotion you can imagine.
Yeah.
Like it's a little, it's definitely past its prime, but I would say, so Mike,
I would say
2
or 3 seasons. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say 2 things. First of all, the first season is not like the second, I would say the second and third season are where it really gets really good. Mm-hmm. The first season is good, but it's more of a proof of concept and it's more of a generic raunchy comedy kind of thing. And then where it really finds like, there's episodes that they should like show in school.
Right.
In the second and third season.
Mm-hmm. I would agree with that. Yeah.
Excellent.
But also I wonder if I always wonder if I was a middle schooler watching it and I'd be like, that's not how it's like. This is stupid, written by adults. It's like probably have been my reaction.
Because it's also, it's written by adults and it's written by adults that are older than me.
Yeah.
So it's I don't feel like there's been anything. Usually when you do tackle like a middle school thing that's written by people from like Gen Xers, or before that it was boomers or whatever. Like I think there's an episode. I do think there's an episode where they deal with showering in gym. And it's like nobody has showered in gym class since the 1960s.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really do that anymore.
But I do think like it's gonna, like, my son is about to turn 8, and I think it's gonna provide a good window. He's a sweet boy. He's gonna turn a little asshole in about 5 or 6 years. And so like this show is like prepping me like this is what he's going through. These are the crazy things. And remember, this is what middle school was like, and all the weird like high low stakes of this kind of stuff. So I think it'll help me process. It's helping me prep for like when he's gonna go through this in a couple of years.
I have two shows to mention really. One quick. So I've been continuing my rewatch of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and I just finished season, I think it was 4, and I think I'm 4 and I'm almost done with 5. Man, Deep Space Nine is something else. Like that. I watched it years ago when I went through the entire Star Trek like over 10 years ago. Now I'm going, or maybe less, but I'm going back through it again. And Deep Space Nine just blows me away with how good it is and how much it worked when it just centered in one space and one place, one planet mostly, and it just works perfectly. Like it is. I think even if you haven't watched Star Trek, that you could start with Deep Space Nine and just watch Deep Space Nine and be okay and still enjoy it. And
Deep Space Nine is a struggle for me.
Oh, for Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, I've never finished it. It's I just watched the episode that Worf joins the crew.
Okay, so you're in the good stuff then.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know, but I just can't. It doesn't hook me. My thing about Deep Space Nine, and this is like super subjective. Well, there's one objective thing and one subjective thing about Star Trek in general, big picture, because this is also why I can't get into Discovery. I think Star Trek works best when it is being the Twilight Zone, when it is sort of telling you one story that addresses like or takes a position on like a social issue, stuff like or at least or challenges you, makes you think of a thing. But like oh man, I can't even think. There's a bunch of original series is my favorite because of that. And then also Star Trek, and this is the super subjective thing. Star Trek for me is about the original series cast and the Next Generation cast. The Deep Space Nine cast just doesn't like they're better than any of the other ones. They're better than the Voyager or the Enterprise or the Discovery casts, but
Enterprise is good. They
just don't. I don't know. Enterprise is good too. I mean, on another Enterprise,
Stargate,
like another thing. It's like
you put a different episode of Stargate does Star Trek.
Yeah, it's exactly. Yeah, it's Stargate does Star Trek. Yeah, exactly. But like there's something special about the cast of original series and Next Generation that they haven't been able to replicate, I don't think, in any of the incarnations since then. And I don't know. Like I don't want to be overly critical, but it bums me. It bums me out that I have to be that guy. That I have to be the guy that hates the new stuff. But I do, and then I still try to watch it. I mean, I thought Picard was awful.
I haven't checked out Picard or Discovery mainly because I think they're locked behind Paramount, and I'm not signing up for another streaming service.
I mean, Paramount Plus is a good deal because of all the old MTV stuff.
It's one of those things where I'm now on a rotational schedule. Like I'm about to get Peacock for the third time, and I'm rotating between like Peacock, Paramount.
I'm starting to do that. I got rid of Hulu, and I just got Hulu back because they had a deal where it was $1 a month for like a year. So I'm like, okay, I'll re-sign up for it because it's cheaper than getting it.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. And then also, I have family members that I share passwords with.
Yep.
And you know what? That's the way the system is supposed to work. Is you're supposed to share passwords with your family members.
Netflix would not agree with you, sir.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Netflix allows a certain number of people watching at the same time.
Yeah, but they don't want you actually doing it.
Well, I mean, capitalism doesn't want you doing that. They want to lock you in. But
I mean, their business model. I mean, you can pay more so that you can have like 6 people watch Netflix at a time.
Yeah, but they want you to do it in one house, not different households.
Yeah.
But they don't stop you. I mean, they let you do it, but I know they actually don't like it. They complained about it once.
I mean, maybe that whether they like it or not, it's part of their business model.
Yeah.
And because if they really wanted it to be within one household,
they'd lock zip code or something.
Then which is what YouTube TV does, is you have to sign up within the zip code every once in a while. But I mean, yeah, it's like my wife and I have. I mean, there's a dozen. There's there's 7 profiles on my Disney Plus, and you know what? They get their $8.99 a month or however much Disney Plus costs, whatever. And I mean, yeah. Honestly, I think of the services that I subscribe to, and then that's the other thing is because I share subscriptions, I don't do as much of the I stopped watching this, I'm going to cancel it. Okay, I'm back in now because I'm like I pay for like Disney Plus and Paramount, and that's all.
Yeah, man. I have Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, and HBO Max,
which I have all those, but
I share Disney Plus and HBO Max with my parents.
So either my parents or the in-laws or my sister-in-law. Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
It's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, and if I didn't do that, then I would cancel it. It's still better than paying $200 a month for cable.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm the sucker because I have young kids. It's like, oh, Clifford the Big Red Dog new movie is on Paramount Plus. We're signing up for Paramount this month. That's fine. It's easier. Everybody's happy. For $10 or however much Paramount costs, we're watching that. Boss Baby 2, sure. It's a night. $5 Peacock Premium. We get Peacock for a month. So it's those movie things. I watched Halloween Kills 3 times because I like it so much.
The right way.
I'm on their little like marketing baiting thing to get those. And then so that's basically so but then I feel bad because I'm a bad millennial because my parents are the ones stealing. I'm supposed to be stealing my parents' HBO, but they're stealing my HBO.
I mean, I do the same thing, but that's because I didn't really want my parents to pay for Netflix and Hulu, and I'm like, I'll just put you on my HBO Max account. I wasn't going to keep it long, but I still have it.
Yeah, they have my HBO. Matrix.
HBO Max is also. I mean, I don't know how much it costs because I don't pay.
15.
For it.
I think it's 15. Yeah.
It's a pretty good service.
It is. That's why I still have it.
Well, I think the theatrical Warner Brothers movies are about to run out.
Yes.
Because they probably, I mean, great for me, but stupidly on their business side said all our 2021 movies will be on HBO Max. So like Matrix, Suicide Squad, all those things are on HBO Max, and that's running out in a couple weeks.
I saw most of them in theaters just because I wanted
really?
to, except for Dune. Dune, I actually still have never finished Dune. I'd watched most of it, and I got about half an hour left of that movie, and I'm just like, I don't care anymore, and I just never went back.
My wife loved it. I could not care about Dune at all. I
know Kendall does.
Oh my gosh. So here's the thing. Here's the thing with Dune. I've decided in order to understand what happens, you have to watch or consume at least 2 versions of the story. Because I listened to the audiobook and I had no idea what was going on. Then I watched the David Lynch version for the podcast, for the Movie Roundtable podcast that I do. And I liked it because I was like, oh, now I know what's going on. But everybody else on my podcast team said that they didn't like it and that they couldn't follow the story. And then we watched the new Dune, and I didn't like it, but I could definitely follow the story. And then they all said that they could follow the story on that. But I think it's just because they were taking the knowledge that they had from the previous thing. Like Dune is just so dense, and it's one of these things where they do explain everything in every version, but it's in the form of some exposition at the beginning that you don't know what's important and what's not important.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it. I liked it. I liked the world. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, this family used to be the managers of this planet, but then their bosses put this new management. And then the first family was like, that's a bullshit. And then they're like, no, we're setting up this second family for failure. And I'm like, oh, well, that's intriguing. And then I just did not care about any of the characters and what was going on. But like the world was interesting, but I didn't like the story it was telling or how it's telling. I also don't know because I've never seen like a Denis Villeneuve movie. I didn't see like Blade Runner or Sicario or Arrival or anything like that. So I'm not sure. Like I have a lot of people that like love him and love his vibe. And I'm like, I don't know if it was like I wasn't clued into his vibe. I'm not clued into Dune. I'm not a huge, I don't dislike Timothée Chalamet, but I'm like, I know people love him. And I'm just like, okay, well, here he is. I like Aquaman and I like Oscar Isaac. And that big slug boss evil guy was pretty cool looking. Yeah,
I did think that a lot of the known actors were distracting to me in the new Dune movie in a way that the other movie wasn't. That wasn't the case. But I mean, also there were famous actors in the
Sting.
Yeah, Sting and Patrick Stewart and
the people in this movie were distracting me, but Sting being in that other movie not distracting me.
Yeah, I don't know, for whatever reason, it is what it is. I think the David Lynch movie, I mean, it doesn't necessarily perfectly tell the story. Like I think you do have to watch it a couple times, but like that's not necessarily a failure in it. Like if you enjoy it enough for what it is on the first viewing, and then on the second viewing, you can actually tell what's happening. Like that's not necessarily a failure of the film. And I mean, it's a movie that I will watch again. I will watch the David Lynch one again. I will not watch the new one again. Almost certainly will not. And people say that they'll watch the new one again. I don't think so. And
I
won't
also
even
finish it probably.
And also, it's only part one. Can you think of? I would challenge both of you. This new trend of having movies be part one, part two, or in the Hobbit's case, part 1, 2, and 3. Is there a single one of one of these adaptations where the second one has been like satisfying?
Hobbit.
I only saw Hobbits 1 and 3, so I don't honestly can't.
I liked the second movie when I saw it in theaters. I have not seen it since, so I could be wrong, but I remember I enjoyed it. I know your opinion is not of that.
Also, okay, but then with the Hobbit, you would have my meaning would be the second and third.
I enjoyed the third one too when I saw it in theaters, from what I remember, but I only saw it the one time when it came out, so this memory could be fraud.
That goes outside of the general consensus. Let's say
I think it worked. It worked.
I think it did too.
Oh my God, I hated the second one.
I know you. I heard that already.
I don't think the second one is nearly as strong as the first one, but I think having that break between the child and the adults worked well for the adults to be like, this happened a long time ago. Like that part worked for me. I think having that
I only saw it the one time in theaters, but I remember liking it, but I can't remember much about it. So it's been a while.
But I also don't know how like the book works, because the book I think alternates chapters between the kids and the adults, right? When they're kids and when they're adults. I don't know.
I haven't read the book.
I have the book. It's gigantic, and I will never read it.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna audiobook it, and then it was like 24 hours long or something.
Yeah, I can't. The only time I ever listened to audiobook was I listened to Star Wars Heir to the Empire audiobook once when I was at work, and I worked at a job where I sucked up garbage with a truck, and that's what I did. But yeah, never. I can't do audiobooks. I don't absorb the information the same.
No, I don't either. I have to have like conversations with podcasts. Audiobooks, I either like tune it out because I'm like driving or something, or I focus too much on that at the expense of my task.
I like audiobooks. I listen to a lot of them.
That's good.
I will say that I tend to gravitate towards the types of audiobooks that sound more like podcasts. I like memoirs, comedic memoirs written by the author. stuff like John Hodgman stuff, especially because I mean, first of all, they're podcasty, but also like if it's read by the author, I think that adds to it to a degree. David Sedaris stuff as well.
Okay, and the other show that I want to mention that I watched all 3 seasons of in the last month is called You. It's a show about a stalker. I think I might have mentioned it last time we did one of these. I can't remember. And it is strangely very good, but also really fucking weird. It's based off a book. It's about without saying too much to spoil it, a guy gets obsessed with women and then he does terrible things. But he's psycho, but he's like, I'm a good guy. I'm a good guy. Like, no, you're not. You just murdered people. You are not good at all. It's really damn good, though. It's on Netflix. But if you, I always, that's one show I say, if you had issues, things happen to you, do not watch that show because I had a toxic ex at one point and watching the first season kind of was a little rough to me at first. I'm like, okay, this is not comfortable. And then I got more used to it, but it's a really good show. It's just very freaky and pretty violent. It gets violent in interesting ways. And you either you two ever hear of it?
The only time I ever heard of it was I think it was on Laura Ingraham on Fox News. Did you see that viral clip where the guy was like, I saw it on You. And she goes, I never covered that. He's like, no, I saw it on You. And she's like, my show never covered that. And it took it was like literally a minute of like who's on first of him trying to explain.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not on Netflix.
It was very, very poor comedic timing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good show.
That's the only thing I know about that show. Which
if you like crime dramas and you like that type of stuff, check it out. You might get into it real quick because the first season is very well done. So is the second and third. Third starts off a little slow, but then it picks up pretty good. Any other TV shows we should mention before we go on to films?
Are y'all watching Hawkeye?
No, I haven't. For some reason, I'm a big Hawkeye fan. I have his first appearance comic above me and his Funko Pop that finally just came out. I haven't seen a single episode of that show yet. I just have no interest.
It's pretty good. It's really good. Yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot.
Bro, how can it be good, bro?
They don't say bro nearly as much.
Okay, good.
My podcast host, we covered the Hawkeye Fraction run recently, and he got so like hung up on the Tracksuit Mafia calling everybody bro. He's like, I don't like this at all, and I'm like, well, then you're not gonna like this show.
I think that the show takes a lot of the good from the Fraction run without being in any way beholden to it, and freaking Kate Bishop is amazing.
Haley Steinfeld,
Haley Steinfeld is like, she's the best actress that we have in the world right now.
I do want to see it. I just haven't. I don't know why I haven't gotten around to it. To be honest, I have no idea why I haven't watched it. Because every other Disney Plus show, Marvel or Star Wars, I usually watch immediately, and this is one I'm just slacking on.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fucking volume. They've had, next week or this week or whenever, there's the 4th MCU movie coming out in a year, and there's been 4 or 5 Disney Plus series if you count What If. It's been a lot of volume.
That was terrible.
It's been a lot of volume.
What If was uneven, I would say. I would not say it was terrible. I would say there were a few episodes that were
some were
really
good,
excellent.
But I didn't enjoy What If.
Yeah, I'm kind of not counting that one, but I didn't super enjoy Falcon and Winter Soldier. I think it was a little unfocused. And WandaVision started off great and then kind of devolved into punch, whizzy laser colors. But and Loki was really good. But this one is pretty darn good. Hailey Steinfeld is good. They're finally cluing into, I think, Hawkeye's character. I think he still like changes from movie to movie. I know y'all just covered that on your podcast, but like Hawkeye and Black Widow both have and Hulk all have like a different thing every movie. So like Hawkeye is like, I've been brainwashed in Avengers 1. And then in Avengers 2, he's like, I have a family. And then Avengers 3, I'm not there. And then Avengers 4, he's like, all my family is dead and I'm a ninja. And now he's like, oh, my best friend is dead and I have trauma from that. So like his like thing changes and like Hulk's like, I'm in love with Black Widow. I don't care about Black Widow anymore. I'm now a professor. Like they haven't clued into all their characters yet, but Hawkeye Renner's like solidly good in it. They fight mob stuff. Echo shows up. It's been a lot of fun. I feel like Hawkeye though, this is like one of their first tests of can we transition away from the original run of characters?
They
like
are.
I know, but it's fun to see it in real time, and I'm seeing how the experiment works. And I'm wondering like how much this has been in Marvel's planning. It seems like it has been with like getting like Ironheart out there and getting.
Because the only one left is Thor, because I can't see Jeremy Renner doing Hawkeye after this show. I bet that's the end.
I mean, I can see him being around. I mean, he doesn't have to be like super hot and buff the way like everybody else does. He can still be around as like an Alfred type, or he could still do Hawkeye adventures. But like half the Avengers died in Endgame, and I guess Hulk is still around.
Yeah, he's the only one that I think is going to stick around a little longer. But I don't think that's only because he's only been in very few movies too.
Right, but like
he's like 400 years old though. Get new actors. I don't know. So Hawkeye is great. I mean, the Hawkeye show is great. It's first of all, yeah. I mean, it doesn't have any of the problems that the Fraction run had, at least yet, because most of the problems in the Fraction run were in the last 3 or 4 issues.
I haven't gotten that far.
I read that entire comic run, record an episode about it, but it's one of the episodes that I lost in quotation that I had to delete, and I've been meaning to re-record it, but I can't make myself want to read that comic ever again and talk about it.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just because and I don't think that, and they don't take things as far with the character, and it also is more about. I mean, Kate Bishop is the main character of the show, so it's more about her story and her origins. Mm-hmm. And she's so great. And yeah, like, and then also it's Christmas is another reason that it's like really, it's like, this is going to be a great thing. If anybody ever revisits anything ever, which, is up in the air as to whether people will revisit this, these types of shows.
Momentum. Yeah, because it's all forward momentum.
Yeah.
Like, y'all went back and rewatched, but like I have no need to watch phase 1 of the movies ever again. I don't think I'll ever watch WandaVision season 1 ever again.
I disagree. Yeah. Those phase 1 movies are really good. Some of them, like Thor and Captain America.
Well, the phase 1 movies, you'll watch them again because you're like, I'm going to rewatch everything. And then you watch the phase 1 movies and then you run out of steam.
I already did that once. That's never happening again. I really want to watch like First Avenger again, but
I think that WandaVision is something that I could see myself revisiting because it's self-contained. And I have a feeling that this will be self-contained in more so than Loki. I would say it's because I loved WandaVision. I agree with you. I agree with you that I wish that they had done more of the way that it was in the early season where each episode is the parody of the thing, and then just have like a little bit of what's this kind of and then reveal everything at the end.
You wanted to walk around and go, what's this? What's this? What's happening over here?
As someone who grew up on Nick at Night, man, it was fun to see like a Dick Van Dyke episode.
Oh, yeah, totally. Those first 2 episodes, really the first 3 episodes, I think.
And then the interlude was like, oh shit, something else is really going on. But then like it really wasn't much of a Modern Family or a Malcolm in the Middle episode. Which is what I wanted because I'm a weirdo.
Right. Yeah, I would have liked. I definitely would have liked them to do more of the. But other people were mad that they did the parodies at all. So whatever.
Yeah, I know.
And it kind of is what it is, and at least it's self-contained. And if I could see myself revisiting that certainly in a way that freaking Loki. Ugh.
You got me more interested. Loki. And starting Hawkeye now finally, because I also never finished Bad Batch, but I think I can keep it that way.
Really? You don't like Bad Batch?
Not really. I might go back to it. I don't know. It didn't do it for me.
I mean, I would definitely say that you could binge through it. It ends strong. I don't remember how it ends, but I remember it ends strong.
I think part of it, I was having a hard time with watching an episode because I watched Clone Wars and Rebels long after they finished airing. So I watched everything bingey, and then it was hard only watching one episode.
Totally binge it. Get the best way to watch those is get drunk and then put it on and then watch them. Like,
how about I just
watch a string of them
and do it?
No, you can't edit podcasts because then you're either doing a bad job editing the podcast or you're.
I would play. I would edit and play Advance Wars and watch Bad Batch all at the same time. I feel like that's probably the way to concentrate on everything.
Okay. I edit. I think I edit just fine while recording while watching TV. I think I do just fine at editing and watching TV.
If you say so.
I actually, well, I've heard
cannot
some about it.
process that much input.
I just watched TV less, I think. All right, one film. So I have a couple films I want to mention quick, and then a couple that we can go more on. I watched Elf 3 times this year, and I did it for an episode. But that movie, watching it 3 times, made me actually appreciate that movie more. I don't know why. And other thing that I want to mention quick is for some reason, since we have Hulu, I got the urge. We're watching all the Hunger Games again. I watched Hunger Games, Catching Fire, and Mockingjay Part 1. I haven't gotten to Part 2 yet. Those are okay movies. They're not that special.
I really like 1 and 2, and I think to Kendall's point, like Mockingjay Part 1, it's like, why did we cut it off here? Okay. And then Part 3, Part 2 is like, I wouldn't have divided that here either. So
there's only 2 parts to it.
Yeah, but there's still like I think it's hard. It's really hard to cut off a novel halfway through.
Well, it's a bad.
At like a logical crescendo that like wants you to read more, and I think it's hard. I think it's hard
didn't
to do.
need to. There's not that much. I feel like you could easily made that into one movie.
Right.
They just wanted money. No, they wanted that 4-part, 4-thing movie versus only 3.
I mean, to be fair, I also with like the Hobbits, it's like you can make $1 billion or you can make $1 billion 3 times.
I get it. It's
well, then make them 90-minute movie. Like, why do they also have to be 3 hours long?
I do want to. Well, I'm gonna watch Mockingjay Part 2 probably tonight or tomorrow because I wanted to finish it before this episode, but then I had to watch Nightmare Before Christmas last night for the first time. I was doing that.
Never seen it?
I had actually never seen it. Recorded an episode last night about it. That's why I had to. When he said, "What's this?" the first thing that popped in my head was that song. That's why I had to sing that. Other than that, but yeah, you can hear all my opinion on that movie in that episode. So you might not like me after that, depending if you like that movie.
Not a huge fan, but that's okay.
Me either. Kendall, do you have any movies you want to mention?
Let's see.
You saw Eternals, didn't you?
I saw Eternals and it was bad.
That hurts me because
I enjoyed it. I think it's an hour of bad and before it gets like remotely interesting. And then
it's on Disney Plus soon.
Yeah, it probably will be. Yeah,
it is. They already announced it that it's coming.
I think it was probably the way that when I came out of it, I was like, this felt off somehow. Like it felt like it was a non-Marvel movie. Like it felt like it was a no-name brand comic book adaptation from 10 years ago. Yeah. But then like people were talking about like the things about it they didn't like, and initially when people said it's like a DC movie, like I'm like, no, it's nothing like Wonder Woman. But but then somebody said it's like Justice League without the Justice League.
I can see that.
And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. Because it's like it was because I mean Justice League, not the Snyder cut, the original cut, was fairly watchable.
Disagree.
It was fairly watchable, and you could latch onto it because you knew these characters.
Yeah.
So it was able to, not like the way not what you would expect from an MCU movie, and not what we would expect from a good comic book movie now, but like there's definitely something to being able to latch onto recognizable characters, recognizable stuff. And Eternals doesn't have that. It has a bunch of characters none of whom are compelling. It has plot points that don't make any sense. They waste Kumail Nanjiani. Like,
yeah.
He just leaves the movie. He's like, I'm not gonna. I do think it's wrong to save the world, but I'm not gonna fight. I'm not gonna stop you guys from saving.
He literally leaves. He's like, I'm not gonna be part of the team, and then doesn't come back for the final fight. Like, there's not a I changed my mind triumphant moment to like push the thing over. He just like leaves the movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he got like super buff so that he could be wearing a shirt the whole time and doing Kamehameha waves. Like, why did they make all that big deal about him getting buff when there is nothing about him that is there's nothing about him. There's no reason that he would need to be buff for the character that he's playing. And there's another character who's overweight in the Eternals, so it's not even. There's 2 other characters who are kind of overweight in the Eternals, so it's not even like these characters are archetypes of perfect health. And the one character who I was actually kind of interested in, they kill off halfway through, and not in a way that's like emotionally resonant. Like I had to think. I don't think that character. One of my favorite characters in it is like, I don't think they make it to the final fight either. Yeah. I think I graded it on a curve because I read the Neil Gaiman Eternals show,
comic for our podcast, which fucking sucked. And I've never liked and I put Eternals and like New Gods and Inhumans all in the same bucket of Jack Kirby creations that I don't care about. And so on that curve, I'm like, Eternals wasn't that bad. But I think like Gilgamesh and Brian Tyree Henry's characters were interesting. They take like an hour and a half to show up. And then I think like the last 20 minutes of it in classic Marvel fashion are like, all the stuff that's going to happen next movie sounds really interesting to you. And I'm like, yeah, it does. So I went out on a high note. God, I'm intrigued to see what
2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a long movie.
It's so long. It's so long.
I really want to see it.
But it still starts with text scrolls at the beginning to explain itself. Like it's 2.5 hours, but still all of its exposition is in text. It's stupid.
I really want to see it, but my wife does not want to go see it, so I might just wait until January 12th when it comes on Disney Plus and watch it that day.
See it or don't see it. I mean, I would say see like any other movie that's in theaters right now before you see it. See House of Gucci.
No.
Or I haven't seen it. I mean, I don't know.
It just does not interest me.
I know, but still. I would, right, even though it doesn't interest you and got bad reviews, I would recommend seeing it over Eternals.
Wow. Okay.
It's not the kind of movie that you need to see on a big screen, but still recommend that. I can't recommend Eternals. Spider-Man's coming out this week.
Oh, it's this week?
That's
yeah.
17th.
That I feel like I have to see the weekend it comes out, or I will be spoiled on something by the time that.
Absolutely.
Yep. You're gonna be spoiled. So this is gonna come out after it's released, but mark my words, everyone is going to be mad because Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire are not going to be in it. It's going to be all about the villains, because the only people that we've had revealed so far from the other universes are the villains. And in one of the previews, he even is like talking to Doctor Strange about how these are all villains who ended up dead because of Spider-Man. And Spider-Man doesn't end up dead because of Spider-Man in the movies. So it's the only cross-universe characters you're going to see are villains, and people are going to be mad.
I think that's fine. I won't be mad.
I'm just preemptively mad because I hate the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
That works.
This is definitely like used to that December 17th. Like I've got like between like the Star Wars movies and like I'd be like, it seems like this week every time it's like Christmas break starting, I've got to like log off the internet for 3 or 4 days before I can get to this movie and line up a sitter. So.
It's one of those movies that I'm going to try to see immediately.
No, I'm definitely going to see it. I'm definitely going to see it opening night, Thursday night, and I'm probably going to enjoy it. I just my gut just tells me that everyone's going to hate it, or I'm going to hate it because it's mediocre, and then everyone else is going to see it through MCU colored glasses, which definitely happens. But I think that there are enough of us obnoxious Spider-Man fanboys out there who are a little bit lukewarm on Tom Holland anyway, that a movie with 75 villains that doesn't meet people's expectations could backfire. Because the problem with Spider-Man 3 was that there were not enough villains.
I think though it can be focused correctly though. I mean, because like I go back to Spider-Verse, and Spider-Verse somehow had like 6 or 7 different villains, an origin story for a Spider-Man. And like multiple protagonists, admittedly, like they all are just like a thing. Like Spider-Ham is like, I'm weird and sweaty. And like Noir is like, I see, I'm talking. And like mostly it's focused on Kingpin with then like, Scorpion and them around. But that movie had a fuck ton of villains with like his Uncle Aaron.
Good too.
And like, I don't know how they balance that, but I'm like, if they do it right, they can balance it. I think Spider-Man 3, just everybody was bored and Tobey Maguire hated his life.
So all they have to do is make the movie as good or better than the best superhero movie ever made.
Yep.
Cool.
They can do it. John Watts and the kid from Freaks and Geeks, I believe in them. I don't know. I think he wrote it. I know he wrote
it. I'm sure it'll be fine. I think
it's going to be fine
about it. I'm just grumpy about it. I'm a grumpy old man with.
I hate the Raimi run. The whole even Spider-Man 2, I'm kind of like, meh. So I'm kind of looking for some validation on it. Like, so, and like Jamie Foxx like has a nice costume and he's not blue in this.
I haven't revisited the Spider-Man movies in a long time. I will say the only Spider-Man movie that when I watched it, I was disappointed with it was Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man and Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2, I thought were great. Amazing and Amazing 2, I really enjoyed. You know, I thought they made interesting choices. I'm glad that they didn't do a third movie that was mostly about Peter Parker's origin. I think that's like that's a weakness of Amazing Spider-Man, but also whatever, who cares? And but I liked Andrew Garfield a lot as Peter because he was an older Peter, and I like an older Peter Parker. I like a 20-something screw up because I'm a 20-something screw up, even though I'm 34. But
I was gonna say, I know you're not in your 20s.
But that's why I like Spider-Verse, because like you do get like that schlubby Peter B. Parker.
Yes.
Which is like consistent with what I've read with comics my entire life.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
Cartoon, he was in college. I'm not used to high school Peter Parker.
Yeah, totally agree. Oh man. Yeah, I mean overweight, overweight, middle-aged Peter Parker.
The girl's kind of divorced.
Yeah, he was a great character.
That's my Spider-Man.
Hey, we did an episode all about that movie too.
I've only seen Spider-Verse once. I need to rewatch it.
Watch it like every 3 months. That show that my wife or my son put that thing on every 3 months.
I just don't rewatch movies.
Yeah, I don't either. But Spider-Verse, I have.
Sir. Oh, and the other movie, one of the other two. There's only other 2 movies or 3 movies I want to mention. I watched 8-Bit Christmas on HBO Max. That is a cute movie, and it's on HBO Max. If you haven't seen it.
I've heard good things. It's basically a Christmas story, but 40 years later. The arc of Christmas Story, but about a Nintendo instead of a gun.
Yes, it's pretty good actually. I mean, I really liked it. I know some of my friends did not, but I really liked it. I thought it was really cute when I watched it.
Yeah, I've been meaning to sit that down and it's PG, so I can watch it around the kids.
Yeah, no, it's really good. I think you'll like it. It's a good Christmas movie. Vincent, do you have any movies you want to mention?
I have a fucking insane movie. Yes, it's called A Very Merry Muppet Christmas. It's from 2002. Have you ever seen it?
No, but
okay. So we've been on a Muppet Christmas high. We've watched Muppet Christmas Carol. We've watched Emmett Otter. There's a Letters to Santa thing on Muppet's Letters to Santa from like 2008 that's on Disney Plus, where like Pepe the Prawn and Rizzo the Rat try to get a deal from Bobby Bacala and Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos. It's fucking weird. But so I've watched like every single Muppet Christmas thing I can find. But A Very Merry Muppet Christmas is a movie from 2002 that me and my sister were visiting my grandparents in like 2002, and we saw it in a hotel room, but we only saw bits and pieces of it. I remember at the time, because the fever dream is I remember that I saw Miss Piggy playing a dead body on the set of Scrubs. And so the whole cast of Scrubs is there, and she's trying to upstage them from like 2002. So it's like Scrubs season 1 or 2. And then Joan Cusack takes over the Muppet studio and turns it into a nightclub, and Scooter is cage dancing in it. And then Statler and Waldorf are creepy old men buying drinks for young women. It's fucking weird. So I was like, just going to sit down and watch this movie. I'm going to find out what it's actually about. Because I'm like, I try to explain it to people, and like, they're like, I don't know what you're talking about. So it starts off with Kermit really sad because Kermit has somehow bankrupted the studio, the Muppets. They're Muppets, you know, they're always trying to find money, and Joan Cusack's the villain. She's trying to buy the studio so she can turn it into a nightclub. And that's the plot of the movie. They're trying to find a big celebrity that can save the day, that they can book on their show, and then they can make enough money and pay off Joan Cusack. So one of the ones they try to get is Triumph the Insult Comic Dog, which I like the idea of, like a different puppet style talking to Muppets. But then the big celebrity that they try to woo to save the Muppets, Joe Rogan. They try to get Joe Rogan to save the Muppets. It doesn't work. And so Fozzie tries to Fozzie ends up getting painted green. He looks like the Grinch. People beat him up. And then Kermit is so sad that he's fucked over his friends that he sits in the cold and literally commits suicide on screen. And then it cuts to, so Kermit kills himself on screen by freezing in the cold. And it cuts to David Arquette and an angel talking to Whoopi Goldberg as God. And he goes, was this part of your plan? Was this God's plan? And Whoopi Goldberg goes, no, we need to fix this. So then they go back in time, and then Kermit wishes he'd never been born. So it's a wonderful life. And then that's why if Kermit was never been born, then Joan Cusack always owns the studio. And that's why Scooter is cage dancing.
This sounds terrible.
It's fucking bananas. Fozzie Bear is like a skinny tweaker that like pickpocket Kermit if you'd never been born. It's so absolutely like off the beaten path of the Muppets. It is an insane movie. Miss Piggy is a cat lady. She's got a shirt that says Felines Navidad. It's insane. And then Kermit learns the spirit of Christmas and then wishes he'd been alive and blah, 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 blah. But, and Pepe the Prawn teams up because he's in love with Joan Cusack, which, you know what? Same, Pepe. I get it. But it's literally the most fucking insane Muppet movie I've ever seen. It was more insane than I thought it was. Do or do not check it out. It is not on Disney Plus. It's produced by NBC Universal, so you can buy it. But and also in the timeline where Kermit was never been born, they show stock footage of New York and the Twin Towers are still there. So something about Kermit's existence caused 9/11.
Kermit did 9/11.
Yep. There's a whole Reddit thread about this. You can find it from like a couple years ago. It's an insane movie. Very Merry Muppet Christmas. I kind of recommend it, kind of don't.
Okay. I don't want to watch it now, but okay. I think I'm good. Kendall, any other things you want to mention?
I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
Okay, I have another movie that I did see in theaters that actually came out this year, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh,
I saw that in theaters too. That is really damn good.
Are you a Ghostbusters fan?
Yes.
Like a big Ghostbusters fan?
Pretty. I mean, I like the first two films a lot.
Okay, I was like,
first
okay, they're there. I'm fine with them, but I don't have like really any like love for them. I'm just
it feels like a very good wrap up of the series of the three movies in a way. Just way later, but it actually was really good.
Okay.
I highly recommend, if you like Ghostbusters, I highly recommend go see it. It does a good job of finishing the story and connecting them in a way, or connecting the first one and the third one and just kind of skips the second one, but that's fine. So, but yeah, I really enjoyed it. I was surprised how much fun it was.
So I was predisposed to dislike it. I haven't seen it yet, but I did. For those who are predisposed to dislike it, the director Jason Reitman, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Directed Juno.
Yep.
Good movie.
Thank You for Smoking and Young Adult and Up in the Air.
Great movie.
All four of those movies are great movies. Watch all four of those movies, and then if you want to, you can go watch this Ghostbusters thing. I'm planning on seeing it this week.
It's worth it.
I've got a ticket.
I think you'll enjoy it. If you like Ghostbusters 1, I think you'll enjoy it.
So my favorite Ghostbusters movie is the 2016.
I have never seen that yet.
I think it's great.
I want to. I do want to see it. I just never gotten around to it yet.
It's Ghostbusters Bridesmaids.
Yeah, I wish it was a little better. I love fucking Paul Feig, The Heat, and Bridesmaids, and especially Spy. And so I came in like expecting like, oh, this is gonna be as good as Spy, which I don't feel it is. So I came out of Ghostbusters 2016 disappointed. I feel like, I mean, it's good. It's got a lot of cool things going on for it. It's definitely worth a watch. And fucking Thor is great in it as the Annie Potts.
Yeah. He's great. I mean, I don't know. I only saw it once, but I mean, I don't know. I feel like sometimes Ghostbusters gets elevated to the level of Indiana Jones and Star Wars.
It does.
And Back to the Future. And I think it is like, of those four franchises, it is a distant fourth. And,
for me, yes. I know there's people that love Ghostbusters, and I'm like, okay, well, I watched it. I kind of watched the cartoon. I had the toys, but it like never was like my favorite. And I
love Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd. I love Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
So, Harold Ramis is pretty good, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's just another 80s comedy. It doesn't quite rise to the level of some other stuff. And I'm afraid of the new one being, first of all, I don't like that it's not a comedy.
It's a comedy.
Ghostbusters should be okay. Well, you're the first person that told me that. You're the first person that told me that. I'm glad to hear that.
I think it's a comedy because I laughed at the movie multiple times.
Okay.
So I wouldn't consider, I would still consider it a comedy because they do shit and they mess things up and people laugh and it's a comedy.
Okay. Well, if it's a comedy, that's a good sign.
It just starts off a little dark, but that does fit Ghostbusters.
I just get Stranger Things vibes.
No, it's not.
And,
it just it does have the actor, but no, it doesn't. It isn't really Stranger Things.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
it's
so we'll see. I need to see it just so I can have an opinion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a comedy. I mean, it has Paul Rudd in it. You'll like it, I think.
Okay, well, I will take that. And take that.
Okay, and the last film I want to mention just very quickly is I did see My Neighbor Totoro in theaters again. Well, first time in theaters, but old movie from 1988. They did a Fathom event. I still love that movie from Studio Ghibli. That movie's great. But it's a movie I watched when I was a kid a whole bunch of times, so I always love going back and seeing old movies that I missed in theaters and seeing them in theaters again.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
For the first time. Any other things you guys want to add, Kendall or Vincent?
I think I'm good.
No, I think I'm good. I'm good.
Okay,
We talked about stuff.
Yes, the last thing I want to mention is a life event little thing. Over like a week after we recorded the last What Are You Playing, I went to a cabin and got shit-faced drunk, and that was fun. And it was a cabin where the door didn't lock, and I felt like I was in a horror movie because it was like out in the middle of nowhere in northern Wisconsin. And I'm just like, yeah, this is interesting. I get why people do it, but I'm like, you know what? I miss my internet. I miss home. And I miss plumbing. We didn't have a toilet or anything. We had to go outside to an outhouse, and that's just It was cold too. So I was like, yeah, this is not. I don't understand people. I don't get it. But yeah, so that's what I did. I think that's everything we need to say, and then we'll go to plugs. Vincent, where can people find you at?
Yeah, you can find me on Some of My Friends Read Comics. It's a comic book podcast where it's essentially a book club where we read comics that we should have read a long time ago. We've read things in the past like The Death of Gwen Stacy. We just read Edge of Spider-Verse last episode, which is the series preceding the Spider-Verse proper. And we're about to start Age of Apocalypse, which we've never dove into or specifically reading. Or one of our hosts has Chris, who was on your Sandman episode a couple months ago. Yes. But me and my other host, Kia, we've never read Age of Apocalypse. So we're starting with Legion Quest and X-Men Alpha. So that should be a time. I'm not super well-versed in 90s X-Men comics, but I think like Civil War, we're going to end up cherry picking. We're probably not going to read like Blink or anything like that.
I just noticed something. You guys covered Beasts of Burden.
Yeah, we did a long time ago. That was right when we started on YouTube. There's some new Beast of Burden series that have come out in the last 4 or 5 years.
We on the last episode that was released as the three of the original co-hosts, we covered that comic.
It's really good.
It really was.
Evan Dorkin had some type of meltdown on Twitter that was like real like vague booking about Jill Thompson, and so she's not on the book. But also like me and Chris were like, you sound like kind of a dick in this, so I think that he might be the bad guy of it. But
usually how that works a lot of time. Kendall, where can people find you at?
So you can find everything to do at kendallcast.ninja. We talked about the Pull List podcast, the Kendallcast movie roundtable. Also have That's What We Called Music with a question mark. The song by song review of the Now That's What I Call Music catalog.
Oh wow, we used to do that on our podcast too. We would go through every single Now compilation. Awesome. Made it through like 8, and then we had to stop because we started getting like to POD, and we were like, I don't know what we're talking about now.
Right? Yeah, we are currently in volume 6, I think.
Okay. Cool.
But we're going song by song. It's not a review of the whole of the full album. So we've got a lot
of Evan and Jaren you have to cover.
70 something. I don't think we've done Evan. I don't think we've hit any Evan and Jaren. Okay. It's interesting the stuff that misses, right? You know that isn't included in it, and like It's Gonna Be Me is on a compilation before Bye Bye Bye. But Bye 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 was released as a single.
Definitely the first single. Yeah.
So it's not, but it's still an interesting snapshot and an interesting excuse to talk about, songs by people from a very specific time in my life.
Yeah. Much to my wife's chagrin, like that's where me and my buddies discovered Casey and JoJo with All My Life, which is a fucking banger. I was not listening to Casey and JoJo in the 90s, and now that's the only CD in my car.
All right. And if you enjoyed this episode, you can find all our episodes at Podbean or wherever you get your podcasts. If iTunes or Spotify only cuts you back to so far, because you'll know by the numbers, there's more. Go look through one of the different podcatchers. You can find all our work. We are also on YouTube, but only audio. But we are on YouTube if you want to listen. If you rather listen to your podcast that way. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. So I appreciate you doing it. You'll see images and stuff that's upcoming with the show. And we did cover the whole MCU. Definitely go check that out. I put way too much of my life into that. So listen to those long-ass episodes. That was an insanity plan. But we did the whole Infinity Saga. And I never again.
Well, I record that much. Then. There's 4 movies that have come out since then.
Yep, and I talk about doing them every so often, but I'm just like, I just don't know if I have it in me to keep going. We'll see. I want to, but I don't know. I'm kind of burned out on MCU. And I want to give a shout out to her awesome intro and outro, courtesy of Helena at Hell Has Fury. She's on TikTok. You can follow her there. You will see a link to her TikTok in the show notes. You will see also a link to these guys. And we have a Patreon. For as little as $1, you can go sign up to our Patreon and vote in our monthly polls we do every month. Decide what things we're going to cover sometime. So definitely go check that out. And I'm planning to do more with it eventually, with letting people choose games once a month, like from a list of 4 that I'm okay with, but I haven't decided yet. So I'm thinking about it. So definitely go check all that out. And so we will... I think that's everything I need. Oh, and I want to give a shout out to Bill Tucker, a friend of the show who co-hosts with me many times. His podcast, The Gamer Looks at 40. Definitely go check him out. And that's everything I need to say. So we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.